I knew that he was kind and that he was somehow lonesome. You know, you know how children, they can kind of sense that? I sensed that he was lonely. And I wanted somehow to make him feel better. So, without really saying anything, I took his hand and took him home with me. And I used to just bring puppies and I took him home with me. And I introduced him to my mom. And that's how my mom met my dad. And my dad was wonderful. He took very good care of me, my mom, and my grandmother. And it was my 6th birthday. My dad bought me a bike and hid it in my uncle's house. And when I saw it there, I just couldn't believe it. It was a little red girl's bike. Girl's bike. You know, I used to have to ride the big boys' bike and I had to lay like that to get on there. But it was a girl's bike, so I didn't have to do that. And I loved that bike. And I rode it everywhere. I even learned to ride it without holding on to handlebars. I was really good. And it was a little bit after that my brother was born. And oh my goodness, he was beautiful. He was so adorable. His skin was brown. He had curly hair. His eyes were just big and bright and smile that melted your heart. I just fell in love with him when I saw him. And I said to myself, I'm not going to let anything bad ever happen to my brother. And that's how it started. But growing up in a country rebuilding from scratch is not easy. It's not enough food, not enough material, not enough money, not enough kindness, not enough of everything. And I thought the world was not a nice place. And I thought that people weren't that nice either. You know? And I always was small in size, but I thought that I had to protect my brother. Because since my brother was small, was different, that there were some kids that wanted to make fun of him and maybe pick on him. But guess what? I didn't let that happen. I was little, but nobody messed with my brother. That's right. And that's how I got this chip on my shoulder. So in Japan, women were considered less than men. They just did. And they still do, probably. And I thought I got the short end of the stick by being born a woman, being born a girl. And it was around this time that I started to feel that there might be something wrong with me. Because I really didn't get invited to play at my friends' homes much. And I think probably because my mom married an American soldier. And that was not a thing that a respectable woman would do. And that some of the parents of my friends didn't want their children to be associated too much with me. But I didn't know that, so I just thought, well, maybe something wrong with me. That it was my fault that people were so uncaring and kind of cold to me. And it was around this time, too, that this little creature of mine started to speak up. And I think it was due to all the stuff that was going around me. It was confused, it was frightened, and it thought it had to be tough. And it had to be mean to help me to survive. And I think that's how this little thing, but it took over though, you know. But that's another story. So, I left Japan when I was 14 to live here in the United States. And I really became the real foreigner here. I was the outsider. And what made it so bad for me was that I didn't speak the language. I didn't understand what people were saying. And I really felt like I was less, that I was dumb, because I didn't really understand what was going on. And then I used to say, why me? Why do I have it so tough? I was mad. And there was all this emotion, unexpressed, I guess, frustration. There was stuff that I couldn't even put into words. I mean, there were no questions that I could formulate. But I had all this anger inside of me. And I often felt like a pot of boiling soup. You know, it was just bubbling inside of me. But thank goodness, I persevered and I learned the language. I even graduated from college. But there was this something inside of me that kept on asking why. You know, what is the reason? Why am I here? Why do I have to go through all this? Okay, and so I bought and read many self-help books because I thought I could fix it myself. And while reading a book by Deepak Chopra, I came across a statement. It says, we're all spiritual beings here having human experiences. In truth, we're all gods and goddesses in disguise. And I thought, wow, this is something new. But wouldn't it be wonderful if this were true? Wouldn't it be wonderful if I were this little, not a good enough self that I am? So I read more self-help books, attended classes, seminars, and workshops. And finally, I came to the center of peace. At the center of peace, I felt comfortable being around people here with my words and all. At the center of peace, I took many more classes. Started with foundation, spiritual mind treatment, roots, and many others. Because what I was learning from these classes were feeding my soul. It was nourishing me. It was giving me food, spiritual food, that I needed so much. And I didn't want to stop. And so I went on and took advanced classes. And these were classes designed for practitioners.